Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and accomplished professional and established coach from New York, USA, Daniela Dragomir. Daniela, welcome to the show.
Oh, Ash, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Daniela is an executive and an energy leadership coach. So, Daniela, before we speak about coaching, a few questions for you. What early experiences or challenges shaped your interest in leadership and personal transformation?
Oh, Ash, thank you for that question. Well, ever since I could remember, I was interested in philosophizing with my friends
Mhm.
in high school. I had questions about uh, our purpose in life. And when I started my career as a young consultant, I was surprised to see that some people, navigated challenges with so much ease and grace and
Mm.
flow, and they seem to be magnetic, and other
Right.
people would just flow to them, and it will be easy for them to go to the next career milestone. Whereas other people, and myself, seem to just pile up to do items on their to-do list, and things seem to never end and be on the heavy side. And I couldn't understand how some people could just flow, and whereas me seemed to be bogged down by my to-do list, didn't find quite the joy
Mm.
that other people found the joy in their work so much easier. I love the
Mm.
work, but all the
Right.
things around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. How did you discover the energy leadership framework? And what made you decide to build your coaching practice around it?
Oh, so it again goes back to my uh, spirituality, to
Hmm.
my interest in spirituality, which, I grew up in communism in Romania. And
Hmm.
if you were wondering, it was not really the golden age of fun
I know.
and also of spirituality. The party wanted us to have one God, which was the party. And I grew up in a secular environment, but still, my I had questions.
Yeah.
Who are we in this universe? What is the meaning of life? And they started to become louder and louder in my head. More I was getting older, but at the same time, I wanted to see a practical application of
Mm.
these philosophical questions. So it all came to a head when I hired a coach, and she had a profound transformation on me. And I said, "Oh, all these interests in personal development throughout my life, they have a very practical application."
Mm.
And what she did with me was not really much on the spiritual side, but the
Mm.
very practical, personal development um, things. And I started researching
Mm.
programs, coaching programs, and I discovered the energy leadership framework, which bridged that gap for me between the
Mm.
spiritual and the very practical. And I felt this is for me. And I never looked back. I
Mm.
live and breathe these principles every day. And I decided to build a practice around it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. As you look back at your journey, what has been the most fulfilling part of helping leaders transform the way they show up at work and in life?
When leaders come to me, usually they are in a state of frustration,
Mm.
or they are they are very successful in their careers, but something
Mm.
is missing,
Mm.
and they are in a state of, yeah, of frustration, of friction,
Mm.
I might say, and they might achieve a lot of success,
Yeah.
but this success might come from a place of They want to prove something. They
mm,
want to it might come from a place of still inadequacy. And when we look at it, and I challenge them to actually become more curious and slow down and evaluate where is their performance coming
mm,
from,
mm,
and we are uncovering those stories that actually drive their
mm,
performance. And at first, they feel challenged and they don't want to let go of the old things or of doing things because they feel, well, this is what got me successful. If I
mm.
let go of these patterns, what is going to
Yeah,
happen to me?
yeah.
But then they start to trust and to lean in into this new way of being curious, letting go of self-judgment or judgment of others, trusting the process,
Mm,
and in having the trust in themselves
yeah.
first and then in the others, and then they see the transformation,
Mm,
that they get to this place of a joy, of ease, and fulfillment,
mm,
and they don't have to control every aspect of their circumstances and
mm,
environment.
mm.
And that is a huge
Correct.
transformation that happens with them,
Mm.
and it gives me a lot of
Yeah.
fulfillment. And also the transformation, when it happens to them, it happens to their teams and their families.
What a great response. Thank you, Daniela. Let's now talk about executive energy leadership coaching. For listeners new to the concept, how would you explain energy leadership in simple terms, and how is it different from traditional coaching programs?
So, in a simple and easy way, I would say that traditional coaching programs, they teach you skills, how to be
Mm,
more confident, how to be more strategic,
yeah.
time management. Energy leadership is about being. Who are you being as a leader? And from your
Mm,
being derives the doing.
mm,
So I would look at who the person is at the core. And then when you change your energy and who you are at the core, then the doing becomes easy and you make different decisions, take different actions. And of course, your results are totally
mm,
different.
mm. Can you take us through the different energy levels and how they show up in daily leadership situations? Give me an example also, if you can.
Yes. So, for example, you are a leader at work and you've been looking for an opportunity to take on more responsibility.
Hmm.
And an opportunity arises that you will be able to do a presentation in front of the board.
Mm,
And you're excited, you take on that opportunity and you start preparing, and let's say you have a few weeks ahead of the presentation, you prepare and the big day arrives. And one way that this leader could show up is
mm,
that they might freeze, they start self-doubting. Who am I to think I could do this?
mm,
What did even prompt me to volunteer for this opportunity?
mm,
And they might go in the board presentation and they give the presentation, everything is a blur. They hope there won't be any questions.
mhm,
And at the end of it, they are happy that they still keep their job. So
mm.
that is one level of energy. Although they are
Yeah.
very prepared, their energy, their belief system does not allow them to show up with an
Mm,
expansive, light,
mm,
free energy. Another level of energy could be, oh, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna crush it. Um, I dare these people to ask me questions. I'm so much better than, more prepared about the subject than anybody else.
mm,
And they go in there and they crush it. I mean, they are a subject uh, matter expert, and but it's not an energy that is conducive to building relationships, to building synergies.
mm,
Another way of showing up is, oh, I've done presentations before, it's just another presentation. Okay, fine. I prepare, I manage, I'm competent at these things. And they do a great job. They go out, but they leave things unexplored. They leave things, opportunities on the table. And the anabolic, the most expansive level of energy is I prepare because I want to be prepared. It's fun when everybody comes to the table prepared, and I
Mm,
want to create a relationship with these people. I want to be of service, and let's
mm,
see what we can create together.
mm,
I welcome every question because even if I don't know the answer, it's an opportunity to build something new, and this person goes out of the meeting having creating new friendships, new relationships, and um, opportunities for the future. Let's say the board rejects their
mm,
proposal, whatever they were presenting, but the energy is such that they create long-lasting relationships,
mm,
and other opportunities might come out of what would look like, let's say, a challenge or not a success per se in that presentation, or it could be
mm,
a great success
mm.
just
What a
because
great
they're
response. Thank
prepared.
you.
And
You've
yeah.
exchanged the different energy levels. You've explained them very well. Thank you. Daniela, many leaders appear confident externally, but feel insecure internally. Why is this so common today?
Because um, leaders, they um, they are in a performance mode.
Hmm.
They are under so much pressure to show up as prepared, having everything under control.
Mm,
And honestly, that dims their creativity, dims their opportunity to give their best.
right.
And um, this pressure to perform instead of being, they get into this modality and in this pattern.
Mm,
And what I like when I work with leader, this mask that they are wearing to come from a place of being.
mm. What are the key signs that a leader is operating from a survival or a reactive mode?
Well, when somebody is in the survival mode, they are overthinking things, they are overreacting,
Mm,
they are micromanaging, burning bridges even when they don't mean to. They are their decisions is are slow because they experience a lot of self-doubt. They don't see a lot of opportunities.
mm,
They want to check everything and be in control of everything. And they might
mm,
say things like, I don't have time, or I'll just do it myself. Or you hear phrases like, performance review season. Yes, please remind me of all the ways I failed.
mm,
Or, a defeating way of talking. Or as I was saying before, I'll crush this. I'll show you. I have to come on top. To get to the top, you need to step on some toes. So
right.
this is the survival reactive mode that gets you so far. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily show externally and necessarily in the way of speaking or reacting, but this is the experience that the person
Mm,
has.
mm. Well said. What kinds of workplace dynamics tend to drain leaders the most, and how can they navigate these skillfully?
So the most I noticed is conflict. Leaders experience conflict in the workplace, unclear expectations of themselves
Mm,
and also of others, and avoiding ownership. It's
mm,
always somebody else to be blamed, and they get blamed, they blame others. So a way to navigate these challenges is to become more curious and
yeah.
less judgmental.
Mm,
Ask more questions. don't make assumptions and interpretations based on what happened in the past. Don't think the history will necessarily repeat itself. Stay curious, stay
Mm.
open.
Yeah.
Um, these are the skills that will help.
Mm. Following on, why do so many high achievers struggle with delegation and trust? And how do you help them?
When a leader comes into a leadership position, usually they struggle to let go of the doing. And they still they have the knowledge, the know-how, but in a leadership position, they need to lead, to let go of the doing. And that
Mm.
is a challenge
Mm.
especially for young leaders. And even at higher levels, it's another way of letting go and seeing the bigger picture. So when leaders understand that letting go of the doing is actually an opportunity to let others develop and also them to focus on what is most important for them at that moment. When they
Mhm.
see this as an opportunity and actually the greatest service that they can give to the others and to
Mm.
themselves, then they
Mm.
are more willing to fall into this new way of being. And then they start seeing the results. They try
Mm.
it, at first they kick the tires, they see the results, and then they are incentivized to continuing.
Mm. Amazing. Daniela, how can leaders maintain high performance without falling into the trap of perfectionism and constant self judgment?
Ash, I would say somebody told me once, and it stuck with me. Perfectionism is a fancy word for being
Yeah.
afraid. So, you know, just letting go of the control, just
Mm.
being open to experimenting, be in that place of
Mm.
trusting the process, trusting yourself,
Mm.
and of course, let go of the self-judgment that only
Mm.
puts you in the box. When you are judging yourself and others, your energy is stuck. Your energy
Mm.
is not flowing. It's
Yeah.
not expansive.
Yeah.
So it's either is stuck or it's flowing.
Very interesting. My next question is on imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome affects even very, very successful professionals. How do you help leaders move beyond their imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome is very common. There are studies that show about 80% of the world's greatest leaders experienced imposter
Correct.
syndrome in their
Correct.
lives at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah.
And even Tom Hanks, I heard him in an interview. He was saying that he experienced this, and he was thinking like, "Oh my God, they are gonna discover any day now that actually I don't know how to act."
Mm.
But it's just a stage in many people's evolution. We don't
Mm.
stay stuck in that stage,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Mm.
So imposter syndrome is when our system is ran by stories about ourselves, that we are not good enough, that we are not capable, that we
Mm.
cannot succeed. And when I get to the root of that, to those stories that actually running our system and
Mm.
then that keep our energy stuck,
Mm.
then when we free those stories, we are able um to replace those stories with better stories that
Mm.
allow us to just be and let go of the control and wanting to know and making the best decisions in this moment that we know of, and having that trust that whatever challenge comes our way, we're going to rise to the
Mm.
occasion.
Absolutely. What shifts do you see when a leader starts aligning their action with their values rather than with external expectations?
Well, yes. When we are looking to external pointers to validate ourselves, but when we stop doing that, magic happens.
Mm.
And this is we become magnetic when our actions are aligned with our
Mm.
values.
Mm.
And this is the key. And, and even in, I see people that work in environments that they feel they are stifling.
Mm,
When they come to work with me, they're saying, "Oh, the culture in my company is stifling.
mm,
It does not allow me
mm,
to be myself." But in fact, is that their orientation is so much our outwardly focused that it's not as much the environment. They have so much control. It all starts with ourselves,
yeah.
and we all have control over ourselves. And when we
Mm,
start acting from, become clear first of all of what our values are,
mm,
and start acting from that place, we actually see opportunities right where we are. We don't need something to change
mm,
in the
mm,
outside.
mm,
Sometimes it's necessary to change the environment, but most of the time when our focus is, where are my values, where is my energy right
mm,
now, that's what makes the change.
mm. Great response. What is one energy leadership tool or practice that leaders can start using today to reduce pressure and increase clarity?
Yes, so I it's different for everyone, but one thing that works like 80-90% of the time is pause. Take that pause and ask yourself, what is my energy right now? Is this
Mm,
serving me? And when we're in lower levels of energy, is our ego that is driving us.
mm,
And even if we are driven to make a self-destructive decision or take a self-destructive action, it
mhm,
feels that is the right thing. But just that pause and asking, where is my energy? Is that heavy energy that doesn't feel good? Then I better take a pause. How can I shift in
mm,
that expansive energy so I
mm,
can make the decision and action taken from that place is totally different. So take
mm,
a pause, ask yourself, where is my energy? Is it serving me right now? If not, shift into a higher level of energy and then
mm,
make a decision or act.
mm. Very interesting. I have time for two more questions for you. How can
Sure.
leaders build executive presence without becoming someone they are not?
Well, executive presence is uh, when I start working with the leaders is, again, who are you being? I don't
Mm,
want somebody to be performative.
yeah,
I have to be confident. I have to speak up
yeah.
in meetings, to just take up room. Whoever is the loudest voice in the room is going to be seen as the leader.
Mm,
Is, no, who are you being? Because that is what actually um what allows you to be the most influential and
mm,
have the impact that you want
yeah.
and get the results that you want. It's not a
Mm,
performative act. It's who are you being at
mm.
the core.
Okay. And my last question for you. For professionals stepping into leadership roles for the first time, what is the biggest mind shift they need to make?
Oh, is just letting go of doing all the work
Mm,
and being the catalyst, the change in around you.
mm,
So let go of the doing and be the leader, be the change.
mm. Amazing. And on that note, Daniela, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me. What a fascinating conversation this has been. Thank you for talking to me about your journey. Thank you for talking to me about so many different aspects of energy leadership and coaching. Thank you again, and good luck to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ash. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.